Good morning. Today's class we are going to see the analysis of continuous beams by stiffness method. Let us see the example of a continuous beam as shown in figure. The left end A is fixed and B and C is our hinges. It is subjected to 2 point loads 24 kN and 12 kN at the mid span. Span AB 10 meter, span BC 10 meter. The first step in the analysis by stiffness method is identify the degree of freedom or kinematic indeterminacy of the structure. Degree of freedom or kinematic indeterminacy is the number of independent rotations or translations that exist in a structure. Here, being a continuous beam, we can make the analysis simple by considering the rotational degrees of freedom alone. Because in most of the cases, there may not be any settlement of supports. If there is settlement of supports, there will be the vertical displacement. So this structure A, B, C can be taken as the assembly of two elements. A and B, we will be selecting nodes. We select nodes at A, nodes at B, node at C. And it is an assembly of two elements A, B and B, C. So in the question, it is not mentioned whether the support B or C is having any settlement. So if it is not having any settlement, we need not consider the vertical degree of freedom. We consider only the rotational degree of freedom. So it is easy for us. We consider only the rotations. Slope at A, slope at B, slope at C. Mark rotation from one end to the other end. What is the known boundary condition? The known boundary condition is A being a fixed end, slope at A is equal to 0. That is D1 is equal to 0. B and C will be having slope or rotation. So D1 equals 0. So the unknowns are D2 and D3 are unknowns. Or the degree of freedom for the structure is the rotation at B and the rotation at C. For the slope at B and slope at C, or the degree of freedom is 2 theta B and theta C. So this is the first step. Identify the degree of freedom. Then mark the structure coordinates, that is mark D1, D2, D3 or 1, 2, 3. Now you split up it into elements, mark the element coordinates. First element AB is having 1 and 2. For the second element BC, it is 2 and 3. So this much is the first step. Identify the degree of freedom, mark the structure coordinates, note down the known boundary condition and write down what are the unknowns. Never we will mention whether theta B or theta C such values. Instead of that, that will be designated by the numbers D2, D3. Second step, element stiffness matrix. First element AB, we consider element AB. The stiffness matrix for a beam element KAB with this rotational coordinates alone. For a beam element, we consider this coordinates 1, 2 alone. The stiffness matrix will be EI by L into 4, 2, 2, 4. We know this from previous derivations. So here you substitute the length of the member. The length of the member is 10 meter. So the stiffness matrix for this member is EI by 10 into 4. So it will become 0.4, 0.2, 0.2, 0.4. So stiffness matrix for element AB is very simple. Now what are the coordinates? The coordinates for that member is 1 and 2. So at the top you have to write 1, 2. At the left also you have to write 1, 2. Similarly for the second element BC, stiffness matrix for element BC is equal to EI by L. Similar to the previous case, here also the length is 10. EI by L, 4, 2, 2, 4. So that is equal to EI into 0.4, 0.2, 0.2, 0.4. And what are the coordinates for the second element? It is 2, 3. So you write 2, 3, 2, 3. So that is the second step. Element stiffness matrix for the two elements. Now we have to assemble it together to form the structure stiffness matrix. So the third step is structure stiffness matrix. K, capital K is equal to, we know here the degree of freedom is 2, so the matrix should be a 2 by 2 matrix. So let us see what are the boundary conditions. The first element, the boundary condition is D1 equals 0. So from the first element to delete the first column and first row. D2 and D3 are unknown, so nothing to delete in the second element. So the stiffness matrix will be having 2 by 2 matrix and it should bear the coordinates 2, 3, 2, 3. Being D2 and D3 being the degrees of freedom. So let us see what is the posting comes from the first element. The first element, there is only one element 0.4 and it is in location 2, 2. So in the location 2, 2, we have to write 0.4. Definitely there is EI is outside. So from the first element there is 0.4. From the second element, start location is 2, 2. In the location 2, 2, there is 0.4. Then to the right of it, 2, 3, it is 0.2. Then 3, 2, there is 0.2. And in 3, 3, it is 0.4. So you post all the elements from the element stiffness matrix. First matrix, there is only one term 0.4. It is in location 2, 2. Then from the second element in 2, 2, it is 0.4. Then to the right of it, 2, 3, 0.2, 3, 2, 0.2, this is 0.4. Then add it together. 0.8. So the structure stiffness matrix, we have got it as K is equal to EI into 0.8, 0.2, 0.2, 0.4. Okay, from the first, the step 3, we have got the stiffness matrix for the structure as EI into 0.8, 0.2, 0.2, 0.4. The next step is to form the joint load vector or the load vector P, and load vector P can be written as P0 minus Pf. P0 is the vector of externally applied loads. This is external loads. External loads at the nodes. In this case, there are no loads on the selected nodes. So this is the structure which is given to us. There is 24 kilonewton and 12 kilonewton. Only two loads are there. They are acting in the span AB as well as in the span BC. There is no external load acting at the node A, B or C. So this vector is 0 in this particular case. Then PF is fixed end moment vector that we have to find out by element. Consider element AB. In the element AB, let us assume it as a fixed beam. There is a load of 24 kilonewton is acting at the mid span, and each of this span is 5 meter, 5 meter. So what is the fixed end moment? If it is AB, the fixed end moment at this end is WL by 8 due to central load. Here it will be clockwise, WL by 8. Substituting 24 into 10 by 8, it works out to 30 kilonewton meter. So this is also equal to 30 kilonewton meter. So I can write for the element AB, fixed end moment vector for the elements, I wrote small letter P suffix F, corresponding to, we have this is the coordinate directions. We have marked at A it is D1, at B the coordinate is D2, here it is D3. So corresponding to coordinate direction 1 and corresponding to coordinate direction 2 for this element. So this element coordinates were 1 and 2. Corresponding to 1 it is 30 kilonewton meter, but it is minus anti-clockwise. This is clockwise direction. Corresponding to 2 it is plus 30. Similarly for the second element BC, element BC is having load of 12 kilonewton at the center of span, and each of this is 5 meter, 5 meter. So this is B and this is C. So this fixed end moment WL by 8, 12 into 10 by 8. It is works out to 15 kilonewton meter, and here also it is clockwise 15 kilonewton meter. So the fixed end moment, this point B corresponding to 2. So the fixed end moment vector for the element small letter PF2 and fixed end moment PF3 corresponding to 2 and 3, it is minus 15 and plus 15. So these are the fixed end moment vectors for both of these elements. Now we have to combine it together for the structure. So for the structure, we use capital P suffix F. That we require, it's a 2 by 2 matrix corresponding to coordinate 2 and 3. So we require only corresponding to coordinate 2 and corresponding to coordinate 3. What are the values? Or as we have applied the boundary condition in the stiffness matrix, here also you apply PF1. D1 is 0, so we need not require this. We can cancel it. So consider from the first element corresponding to 2, there is a contribution of 30. From the second element corresponding to 2, there is minus 15. Corresponding to 3, there is 15. Or summing it together, we can get the fixed end moment vector is 30 minus 15, 15, 15. Now, the load vector is P0 minus PF. So P0 is here 0 minus PF. PF is 15, 15. So that we will get it as minus 15 minus 15. So this is the equivalent joint load or the load vector P0 minus PF. P0 is already 0. PF we have added up from element to element. So we will get the load vector as minus 15 minus 15. So we have got the stiffness matrix of the structure, as well as we have got the right hand side vector, that is the equivalent joint load vector P from the previous steps. Now we have to solve the equation K into D is equal to P, that is the next step. So K is EI into 0.8, 0.2, 0.2, 0.4, that into the coordinates were 2 and 3. So D2, D3 is equal to P vector minus 15 minus 15. Solve this equation. 0.8 D2 plus 0.2 D3 is equal to minus 15. 0.2 D2 plus 0.4 D3 equal to minus 15. Solving, you get D2 D3 is equal to 1 by EI into minus 10.71 minus 32.14. That means we get the slope at B and C as anti-clockwise rotations, 10.71 by EI radians and 32.14 by EI radians. Next step 6, final moments. Here we have chosen the coordinates only, rotational coordinates alone. So we will be getting only the moments at the supports. We will not get the shear force. We will be getting only the bending moment values. So final moments, we have to consider element by element. First consider element AB, and the expression for final moment is M is equal to the fixed end moment for the element PF plus element stiffness matrix K suffix E into D. So for the first element AB, you refer back, you can see the coordinate was 1 and 2. Point A and point B, the coordinates were 1 and 2. So corresponding to 1, we will be getting MAB, and corresponding to 2, we will get MBA. That is equal to fixed end moment. Fixed end moment vector, you refer to the previous step. For the first element, we have written PF1 and PF2 minus 30, 30. This is the fixed end moment vector for the first element. Plus, the stiffness matrix for the first element was EI into 0.4, 0.2, 0.2, 0.4, and the numbers written at the top for the first element were 1, 2. So you multiply with D1, D2. D1 is 0 and D2 is minus 10.71 into 1 by EI. It will generate the value minus 32.142, 25.716. So we have got the values of MAB and MBA as fixed end moment for the first element, stiffness matrix for the first element into D1, D2. D1 is 0, substitute the value of D2. We got the values of MAB and MBA. Similarly, we have to get for the second element BC, for which the coordinates were 2 and 3. MBC, MCB. The fixed end moment was minus 15 plus 15. Stiffness matrix was EI into 0.4, 0.2, 0.4, 0.2, 0.4 into the numbers at the top for that were D2 and D3. For this, the number in the top written were 2 and 3. So you have to substitute D2 and D3. D2 is minus 10.71 and D3 is minus 32.14. So after this multiplication, this into 1 by EA is there. This EA and EA gets cancelled. We will get the answer as minus 25.716. So with that, we have got the analysis result, the bending moment at both ends of element AB as well as element BC. Now we have to draw the bending moment diagram. If you want to draw the shear force diagram, based on the bending moment values obtained, we can calculate the shear force values from the equations of equilibrium. So I will discuss that also, how to arrive at the shear force values from the bending moment values. Based on the previous result which I have obtained on the last step, bending moment MAB was 32.142 anti-clockwise minus, it was 25.716 positive clockwise. MBC was minus 25.716 and MC is equal to 0. So these are the support moments. From these support moments, we have to calculate the support reactions. So this first is, due to this unbalanced moment, what we write here, the reaction due to fixed end moments or the unbalanced. These are the fixed end moments. So the reaction due to fixed end moment, you see, it is 32.142 anti-clockwise, 25.716 clockwise. What is the net unbalance? The unbalanced is 32.142 minus 25.716. That is unbalanced moment divided by the span. So it will lead to 0.6426. So anti-clockwise, this is clockwise. So there is the difference of 6.4 divided by the span will give you the reaction here. And this reaction, it's an anti-clockwise is the net unbalanced moment. So to produce clockwise couple left up and right down. So each of this will be 0.6426 kilonewton to balance the fixed end moment of span AB. Now, in the span BC, there is an unbalance 25.716 minus 0, 25.716 divided by 10. So, 2.57 is an anti-clockwise moment. To balance it, a clockwise couple left up, right down, and each will be of value 2.57. This is 2.57. So, these are the reactions for balancing the fixed end moment. Then there is reaction due to external load. The reaction due to external load. This is first step. This is the second step. The external load is 24 kilonewton. It is acting at the mid span. So each of these support reactions will be, here it will be 24 by 2, 12 kilonewton. Here also the support reaction will be 12 kilonewton. Next span, 12 kilonewton is the load. So each of these support reaction will be 6 kilonewton. 6 kilonewton. So now we add it up. Here it is 12.6426. So together it is 12.6426 acting upward direction. Here 12 acting upward, 0.64 acting downwards. So it is 12 minus 0.64, 11.35. 74. Here 2.5 upward, 6 upward. So altogether it is 8.5716. Here 6 upwards, 2.5 downwards. So 6 minus 2.5, it is 3.4284. So these are the total support reactions. Now we have to draw the bending moment diagram based on this bending moment values and the shear force diagram based on the support reactions. Let us see how to draw it. Let us see how to draw the bending moment diagram. First of all, consider drawing a horizontal line. At point A, MAB is minus 32.142. So A to B, you place this pen like this, minus, it's anti-clockwise moment, so you rotate it in anti-clockwise direction. A to B, place the pen like this, rotate it in anti-clockwise direction. So 32.142, you have to mark here, 32.142 kilonewton meter. MBA 25.716 clockwise. So B to A clockwise. So just 25.716 connected. MBC 25.716 anti-clockwise. B to C anti-clockwise. So it comes to the same point. And MC 0. This is 0. So connect it. This is the support moment diagram. Superimpose the simply supported bending moment diagram or the span moment. Due to this 24 kilonewton, it is W L by 4. This is the span moment. This value will be W 24 into L by 4. It works out to 60 kilonewton meter. Here the span moment 12 into 10 by 4, which is 30 kilonewton meter. Now this support moment diagram is a hogging moment diagram. See, these two moments tends to bend the beam up. This moment tends to bend the beam up. The span moment tends to bend the beam down. It's a sagging moment. So the next portion is, this is hogging. You have to hatch. This is sagging. This portion, this is hogging. And this is sagging. This is the bending moment diagram. So the bending moment diagram is drawn to get an idea about how to provide the tension reinforcement. So in the support portions, it is hogging moment, means out of the total depth of the beam, you have to provide the reinforcement at the top. And in the span, it is sagging, means in the span portion, you have to provide the total reinforcement corresponding to this value at the bottom of the beam. The beam is of 60 centimeter, say, or 40 centimeter depth. Below the neutral axis, you provide the reinforcement in the span portion, and in the support portion, you provide the reinforcement above the neutral axis. Okay, so this is the bending moment diagram. Next, we draw the shear force diagram. Here the value is 12.64 RA. So 12.64, you go up from here. 12.64 kilonewton. Up to this, there is no load. Then 12.64, this 24 is come down by 24. So 12.64 minus 24 will lead to 11.36. After this, there is no load, you go straight. Then comes the reaction 11.36. So go up by 11.36. Then again 8.57 upwards. From here you go up by 8.57. No load up to this, come straight. Then minus 12, 8.57 minus 12 will work out to 3.43. Go straight, 3.43, the reaction is acting up. So starting from here, from the base, 12.64 upwards. After this, there is no load. Minus 24, so it will come to 11.36. There is no load. Then 11.36 reaction upwards. Again 8.57 reaction upwards. No load. 8.57 minus 12, 3.43. After this, there is no load. Then go up by 3.43. So this is the shear force diagram. Above the line positive, below the line negative. Thus we come to the end of the analysis of a continuous beam by stiffness method. So if you take rotational coordinates alone, the solution of the problem becomes easy. But at the last stage, you have to, based on the principle of equilibrium, you have to arrive at the shear force values. Thank you.